Noah should be here by then. She said she should be here by now.
She texted that her GPS has her here by 10:10, which is in 6 minutes. So she's gonna miss this first one, because we should go.
Yeah, it's time. It's time.
I will ring the bell to start our service, and I would like to encourage everyone to come forward. Our gathering hymn this morning is the Unitarian Universalist beloved hymn, Spirit of Life. It was written by prolific Unitarian composer Carolyn McDade and has been translated into many languages, including American Sign Language. So I would love you to, seated or standing, lift your voices and your hands if you wish. Follow me as we sing Spirit of Life. Well done, everyone. And thank you, Deborah, for jumping in. Our usual pianist is suffering a big setback this morning. So when she comes, let's give her lots of compassion. Aloha and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, where we strive to build the beloved community and to boldly grow compassion, justice, and joy. It is good to see you here this morning in the building, and aloha on Zoom. It is indeed good to be together, sharing our hearts with one another. I'm so glad that you are here. Now, if you are visiting us for the first time here in the building or on Zoom, I want to especially welcome you and thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. And for those visitors in the building, there will be light refreshments and fellowship in the wonderful and historic gallery on the Poly, which is just down the hall to your right there. Please stay, talk stories so we can get to know you better. My name, who am I? My name is Karen Velasic. My pronouns are she, her. I have the pleasure of being worship associate this morning with my husband, Richard Velasic, who will be giving the message today. You see, on May 25th, Richard slipped on some very wet pavement outside our apartment, broke his ankle in 3 places. He then had a 6-hour surgery to put it all back together. So since then, we have been on a journey of mending and healing, and wanted to share with you this morning some of meditations on mending, both physically and in the larger spiritual sense. So, whether you go to church on Sunday morning or light candles on Friday nights, whether you've been hurt by religion, saved by it, maybe a little of both, whether you're brand new to a spiritual community or a seasoned seeker, whoever you are, wherever you are from, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. First, please join me as we offer recognition for this chain of islands and that we call home and her people. On behalf of the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, we acknowledge that we gather on Aina, which is the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Hawaiian people. Yielded the Hawaiian Kingdom, its territories temporarily under duress and protest to the United States to avoid the bloodshed of her people. We honor our shared responsibility to this land and these waters, commit to learning from Hawaiian wisdom, and we strive. As I light our chalice, Richard will hobble up and offer the words of Poet Laureate Kay Ryan.
Least action. Is it vision or the lack that brings me back to the principle of least action? By which, in one branch of rabbinical thought, the world might become the kingdom of peace, not through the tumult and destruction necessary for a new start, but by adjusting little parts, a little bit, turning a cup a quarter inch or scooting up a bench. It imagines an incremental resurrection, an incremental resurrection, a radiant body puzzled out through tinkering with the fit of what's available, as though what is right already, but askew. It is tempting for any person who would like to love what she can do. Please remain seated as we seal these words with our mission song, the words found in your order of service and on the screens. I'm going to do the story from down here. My name is Richard Velasic, and I use the masculine gender pronouns he, him, his. And if there are any children who would like to come closer, you're welcome to do that, or anyone who wants to come closer. I brought my toy box. What is this? A monkey? A sock monkey. It's not a real monkey, it's a representation of a monkey. A doll monkey. But almost a cartoon monkey. But this is not just any toy monkey. This is a special monkey who has magical powers. So this is a true story about a monkey and her magic toy monkey. Or maybe it's a true story of a magic toy and their monkey. You can decide and tell me. So Michael Graziano, is that book up there? Yes. In this book, The Spaces Between Us, is a story of neuroscience, evolution, and human nature. Woohoo! Told this story. And I'm going to just put monkey down there. Back when I worked with primates, we had a little girl monkey in a large enclosure filled with climbers and toys that we had collected for her enjoyment. She used to exercise in that enclosure a few hours every day, and I would sometimes sit quietly in a corner and watch just for the pleasure of seeing an excited and playful simian. She would bounce around the place like a gas molecule. On one occasion, as we watched, I began to notice something peculiar. The pattern was so subtle that I had to collect data in a notebook to see it. Her movements seemed random, jumping to whatever caught her fancy, but when averaged over time, they formed a kind of donut. She simply never went into a specific part of the enclosure. Right at the center of that taboo zone was a stuffed toy monkey that we had put there for her amusement. I don't think it amused her. She didn't scream at it, "Ah!" face it, or grimace at it, cringe away from it, show any fear or any anxiety. She didn't show any overt reaction at all, but her ongoing behavior was profoundly shaped by it. She knew that it was there and kept a specific distance from it as if it were ringed by a magic circle. The scientist then concludes, of course, the magic circle was actually around her, the monkey. It was her safety buffer with respect to a freaky monkey with button eyes. That's his story. In other words, it was the monkey itself who cast an aura about this, who projected an aura onto the toy monkey. But it is not beyond reason that what we see as an inert replicant has an agency of its own, is a kind of person that keeps the monkey from getting too close or too far away. If you want to find support for this, you could turn to Alfred Gell, the great anthropologist who wrote the book Art and Agency, an Anthropological Theory of Art, wherein he finds that these items that are tucked away in museums, kidnapped, held ransom in museums all over the world, are people in the eyes of those that they originally belonged to. I like to look at this as both things being true because the world likes to work that way. Whichever way you want it, there are a couple conclusions I draw from this story. That which is avoided controls. You can't let it get too close. You always have to know where it is. So you can't ever let go of it. It's the secrets, the things that can't be said that are controlling you. The other message I get from this, you may think it's someone else, but it's more likely to be you hiding from yourself. Seated or standing, please lift your voices for hymn number 1023, Building Bridges, and we'll sing through this short song twice.
Well, thank you for that. Next time, we'll do a round. Excellent. It is our custom here at First Unitarian Church of Honolulu to share our monthly offerings with a group whose mission is in concert with our own. This month, we are supporting Spill the Tea Cafe, or what I like to call Talk Story Cafe. Spill the Tea Cafe is an inclusive mental health clinic focused on adolescents. Teenagers are particularly vulnerable to mental health challenges due to unique social, emotional, and developmental changes they face, and I think particularly now, too. Spill the Tea Cafe is a specialized healthcare facility that aims to provide comprehensive and evidence-based treatment to adolescents struggling with mental health issues. And by addressing the unique needs of preteens, teens, LGBTQIA+, and neurodivergent keiki, Spill the Tea Cafe helps teens build the skills and resilience they need to thrive and reach their full potential. Now, because we support our congregation through pledges and rental income, we are able to be generous and give 100% of our non-pledge funds collected today to the organization in support of our youth. There are many ways to give. Cash in the calabash that will be passed around. That's always good. Now, I know Target and a few other places, a growing number of places, no longer accept checks, but we do. You can always send a check to the church, and note that it is for July Share the Plate program, or scan the QR code to the screen to be directed to a secure giving page on the church's website, uuhonolulu.org. You can also give securely by text. This encrypted form of giving allows you to give to the church emergency fund, and to make payment toward your pledge. The offering will now be greatly received and freely given. Your gifts help sustain the ministry of this church within these walls and without as we build the beloved community. Thank you for your generosity. The Book of Life is a deep and ancient tradition. Throughout human history, communities of faith and understanding have witnessed together the ways their shared lives or experience marked, remembered. This community's Book of Life is open to all who enter this place. In it, we invite you to share a joy or concern or an experience affecting you or this shared community. And if writing is not something you're comfortable with, you can always speak to the minister or the worship associate of the day before the service about what you would wish to be shared. And if you need a compassionate person to listen to what is troubling your heart, please go to our church website to contact the care team. This caring group includes Martina Queenth, Carla Allison, Nancy Schilt, Lorraine Fay. And if the listening you need involves grief, please speak with Dr. Reverend Greg or Catherine Graham. Now, some of the concerns, sadness, but also a joy. Catherine Graham wrote, Peggy Bauer has returned to Santa Fe to get
the medical attention she needs.
To get the medical attention she needs, and we will miss her. Yeah, I wish her well. Absolutely. Along these, what's written here, I know there are concerns troubling our own private hearts. And so, as my hand passes over the congregation, I invite you to speak a word, a name, or a thought about your concern that can be held here by all of us now, or hold it in your heart where we know where to find it.
Presidential election.
So let the darkness voices.
So, alongside the bitterness and the sweetness, there are joys enlivening our community, and there are joys written in here. Today is our 7th anniversary, Jaron and Kristen. That was last week. It even says July 14th. Well, joy again. Okay, so written today, a few things. Receiving daily blessings, the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu community, and the Social Arts Group. Awesome. Another joy, that I am alive and able to live another day on Mother Earth. I wake up every morning and think that. Woohoo. And our own Deborah Duvall has written a haiku in honor of the beautiful arrangement that she put together. She writes, Anthurium dance. Red hearts laugh and smile. Twirly, whirly, curly dance. Flower, spirit, joy. Isn't that awesome? The anthuriums and the the anthuriums in the flower arrangement today inspired me to write this poem. I think it's called Stop and Smell the Roses, right? So, along with these joys, I know there are other joys warming our hearts today, so my hand passes over the congregation again. I invite you to speak a word, a name, a thought about the joy you feel, so it might be shared by all of us now. You're healing. Amen.
My 33rd birthday yesterday.
Ooh. The bitterness and the sweetness, the concerns and the joys of life are a reminder of living through these days together. The brave adventure, holy understanding we share in this journey echo today as it always does in our book of life and in the hearts we each bring to share today. May it always be so. And Richard will hobble up.
The joy of walking and the terror. Words from Donna Haraway from her book, Staying with the Trouble. Trouble is an interesting word. It derives from a 13th century verb meaning to stir up, to make cloudy, to disturb. We, all of us on Terra, live in disturbing times, mixed up times, troubling and turbid times. The task is to become capable with each other in all our bumptious kinds I lost my place in all of our bumptious kinds of response. Mixed up times are overflowing with both pain and joy, with vastly unjust patterns of pain and joy, with unnecessary killing of ongoingness, but also with necessary resurgence. The task is to make kin in lines of inventive connection as a practice of learning to live and die with each other in a thick present. Our task is to make trouble, to stir up potent response to devastating events, as well as to settle troubled waters and rebuild quiet places. In urgent times, many of us are tempted to address trouble in terms of making an imagined future safe, of stopping something from happening that looms in the future, of clearing away the present and the past in order to make futures for coming generations. Staying with the trouble does not require such a relationship to times called the future. In fact, staying with the trouble requires learning to be truly present with the trouble, staying truly present with the trouble, not as a vanishing pivot between awful or Edenic pasts, and not as a vanishing pivot between awful or Edenic pasts and apocalyptic or salvific futures, but as mortal critters entwined in myriad, unfinished configurations of places, times, matters, meanings. Take a moment to let some of that sink in. I am mending. Now, the Japanese believe that when something has suffered damage and has a history, it becomes more beautiful. This is reflected in the, am I more beautiful? This is reflected in the Japanese art of kintsugi, the art of repairing broken ceramics, literally join with gold. As Karen mentioned, it was that last big rainy weekend in May, the 25th, to be exact, going to a tech rehearsal for a play we did the sound design for, and going carefully down the steps from our apartment, my right foot shot out from under me as if I'd stepped on the cartoon banana peel, and I slammed down on my left foot. A clearly broken ankle. And so began my adventure in mending. Breaks in the tibia and fibula. Surgery took 6 hours rather than the expected 3, because what the x-ray didn't reveal was that one of the bones was not just broken, but shattered. I was in the hands of a skillful team of menders who pieced the bits back together with plates and screws and stitched me up. Here is my kintsugi'd ankle joined with titanium instead of gold. Then it was up to me. Let's review the stages of bone repair. First, I had to call on inflammation. This stage begins immediately after the bone is fractured and lasts for several days, more than that in my case. Bleeding into the area causes inflammation and blood clotting, which provides initial structural stability and a framework for new bone production. So that swelling is doing something there. It's part of the mending. Next, the reparative stage. This stage begins about a week after the injury of the blood clot organizes into a protein mesh and a soft callus made of fibrocartilage, and collagen replaces it. This callus holds the bone together, but it isn't strong enough for use. Over time, the callus becomes harder. Finally, remodeling. This is a process, by the way, we are always doing in our bones and all over. I always come back to the idea that from my very inception, bits of me have been dying. And my living depends entirely upon my dying. I have to be dying every day in order to live. Isn't that an interesting biological fact? Now, that's an aside. That's a footnote thing. The remodeling stage begins about 6 weeks after the injury, and they always say 6 to 8 weeks before you can do full weight bearing. And this can last for months to years. It actually lasts your lifetime as your use of the body changes. If you're an astronaut and go up into space, you lose your bones. That's why they're all the current astronauts are actually amoebas. During this stage, regular bone replaces the hard callus, and the bone is reshaped to look like it did before the injury. Not mine. The healed fracture and surrounding callus responds to activity, external forces, functional demands, and growth. Bone that is no longer needed is removed, and the fracture site is smoothed and sculpted. And here are some of the tools of my mending. I needed the crutch, the walker, the boot, the wheelchair. Other tools of mending. Duct tape, hot glue. I have such a conflicted relationship with glue. I pulled out I wanted to mend something, and I pulled out our little thing of glue, solid block. Let's see what else we have in here. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do, it was kind of rare, was to go through my mother's sewing kit. And one of my favorite things in there was what to me appeared a mystical item. It was kind of like this. Do you know what this is?
Put it in the sock to mend it.
A darning egg is what they were called. You've never seen that. And my mother's was black enameled and bigger than this and had a handle on it. And some of them are shaped like mushrooms. But yeah, you put that in the sock or other pieces of clothing. Yeah, there's a picture of some darning there. And some of it can be quite artistic. So Do we darn? Yeah, see, hardly anybody knew what that was. Do we? Yeah, you knew. Do you darn?
I don't.
You don't. Karen has darned. She darned something. I think she used a light bulb for her darning egg. Well, last week I wore this shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. This is to me a power shirt because I think these are figures of gods that are on it. And when I put it on last week, I made a terrible discovery, and I'll show you. I knew somebody would. No, EQ the stripper. Just, no. 1990, I think, is when Karen gave me this shirt as a present. It's one of my treasures. And when I put it on and held it up to the light, you probably can't see it. It's full of moth holes, big one I can put my finger in over here. And I thought, favorite thing, too many of them and too weird a fine material to darn. It's not worth the trouble. I mean, that's a lot of trouble. So there it goes. And that brings me to Ratatoskr and my Lares and Penates and some other things. What order? Yeah, in this bag, I keep a drawer of things that I have to mend. It's, it breaks. Oh, I'll mend this later. You all have some place like that, a shelf, a drawer, cupboard, your whole house maybe, in some cases. Nobody here. I'll do it later, deferred maintenance in a way. And as I was mending, I was thinking this is a good time to be thinking of what needs mending in the household and do that mending in conjunction, similar to what I did when I had ulcerative colitis. I had to get rid of clutter in the house and at least heal the clutter of the house while I was mending. So I start doing some mending. And these I haven't mended yet, but these are some of my Lares and Penates, my household personal gods, so to speak. This is a little figure of Ratatoskr, well, a squirrel. This isn't Ratatoskr, but Ratatoskr I identify with a Norse minor god who carried messages from up and down the Yggdrasil, and he would occasionally, frequently, a lot really, get distracted, run off some other branch instead of carrying the message he was supposed to carry. So he needs his tail glued back on. And I've actually gone to do that a number of times, but he says, no, not yet. Not yet, he says, not yet. This is a pin that I used to like to wear, and it's an easy mend. And again, just this little thing glued back on. Flies, another story why flies are in there, but he also said, not yet. Not yet. Set it aside, wait, it's not time yet. So here's something. It actually broke while I was trying to get all of this stuff together, and I got some new glue, and I was able to mend this without getting glue all over myself and all over everything. He was broken in two pieces, and he went together very nicely. I don't expect him to necessarily stay together long. I have experience with demons. I'm just looking to see if anything I wrote needs saying. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that these guys are still in their inflammation stage. And I don't know what that means for them, but I would just say that sacred objects, again, I want to repeat, have personhood. Those sorts of objects, again, that museums kidnapped, when you give an object the respect of that sort, it becomes a true thing. And your world enlarges. It becomes more spacious. You have granted yourself more space. Now, this is a fascinating one. I'm not going to tell you the full story. It's too weird. It's a little box of Queen Elizabeth. And the head of Queen Elizabeth. Now, she wasn't beheaded, but she died naturally.
Which Queen Elizabeth?
The one who just died, yeah. And why I had a figure of Queen Elizabeth and the head breaking off. And in this is a picture of my brother, my deceased brother, Mike. And that picture is in the box with the head of Queen Elizabeth and in a box of Queen Elizabeth. My brother, Mike, we were never on unfriendly terms, never any falling out. In fact, if I needed anything, he'd be there. We simply always lived in different worlds. Deceased, he's moved to another world far away, which brings him infinitely closer. We now have conversations. And Queen Elizabeth is our go-between. I don't know why, but that's how it happened. And I can tell you this story if you want to hear it some other time. Does anything, there's a broken thing. Does anything need mending here? Is it being mended? I don't know. So let's go back to the demon. Here's another demon broken in many pieces. No way he's going to be kintsugi'd. In fact, I might even bury him eventually. I have had originally about 13 of these. It's a set, and they all sat around a table laden with food made out of this very low-fire ceramic that breaks so easily and doesn't glue back together easily at all. And there's lots of reasons I keep these around, and they move around the house. I have my demons. We all have our demons. The demons can be aches and pains in your aging body, can be annoying kin. All sorts of things can. This deserves its own service. The care and feeding of demons. If you want that, just talk to the Reverend, and I'll arrange it to talk about the care and feeding of demons. They may be. They're a kind of brokenness in themselves, but I mended one. The mending won't hold. These particular demons are from the Mexican state of Michoacan and represent, in a way, a response to colonialism, resistance to religious despotism. Now, I'm not going to unwrap this. And if you were to examine it, which I won't let you, you would find that it's not broken, but it represents a deep brokenness, a deep fracture in our culture. And I keep it there to remind me of it and to remind me of my part in that. And to keep asking, what can I do to fix that? That's everything in my toy box. But the question comes out of there, to mend or not to mend. Alice Walker chimes in. I will keep broken things, the big clay pot with raised iguanas chasing their tails, 2 of their wise heads sheared off. I will keep broken things. The old slave market basket brought to my door by Mississippi, a jagged hole gouged in its sturdy dark oak side. I will keep broken things. The memory of those long, delicious night swims with you. I will keep broken things. In my house there remains an honored shelf on which I will keep broken things. Their beauty is they need never be fixed. I will keep your wild, free laughter, though it is now missing its reassuring and graceful image. I will keep broken things. Thank you so much. I will keep broken things. I will keep your pilgrim of sorrow. I will keep myself. Now moving on to a bit of sociobiology. Who I am, what I am, is more than just this body. My mending process depended on the help of others, the surgeon and her skilled team, physical therapy, and most of all, Karen's support and relentless care, drill instructor. My mending proceeded with a cloak of care, a cloud of care, the concerned friends, the well-wishers, the card from Molly, thank you, Molly, the card from Allison, thank you, Allison, the strangers, the offers of assistance. The hard bone webs out to the most gossamer of threads. Healing at any level is healing at every level. Care, protection, tending for those who are mending appears to be woven into human nature. To the extent that there may be said to be a human nature, it's still under debate. Evidence of care by early humans dates back at least 1.5 million years and includes caring for the sick, the weak, children, and pets. Perhaps it's time to do some mending. The clothes in the closet or a pile somewhere you've not been wearing for want of a button or a tear. Go to that closet or drawer or shelf, that limbo land of broken things. Get rid of what's no longer true or needful, what's no longer you. Ask the things themselves, do you want mending? They will speak to you. And keep some broken things as they are in their imperfect perfection. Is the world a broken place? Or is it simply, this is how things are? Perhaps what looks like breakage is a natural and necessary coming apart, a necessary dying to continue living. A breaking away like laying down the crutches. Thank you, crutch. Voltaire, we'll get a little intellectual here, in his great theological novel Candide or Optimism, used the character Professor Pangloss to satirize the theodicy of Leibniz. Pangloss proclaimed in every horrible situation that we live in the best of all possible worlds. Perhaps it was Leibniz's notion that it may only be our perception of the world that makes it appear broken, echoing Hamlet's, for there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Do we, broken within ourselves, struggle in a broken world, or perhaps some things only appear to be broken? Now, Thursday, I got an email from our governor. Aloha, Richard, it began. Hey, Josh. I believe, he wrote, I believe deeply that our country needs to heal. I believe the way to start healing the wounds caused by division, resentment, fear, and cynicism is through simple acts of kindness, understanding, and compassion towards others every day, especially towards those with whom we disagree. Incremental resurrections. So as we reflect on this message, seated or standing, hymn number 108, My Life Flows On. Lift your voices in song for our hymn of reflection.
As Richard hobbles over to extinguish our chalice, join with me in our chalice extinguishing. As we extinguish our chalice, we remember that we are not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our past as we chart a new future. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known. We are the ones we have been waiting for.
May we continue to travel along the winding pathway to healing from whatever brokenness we individually and collectively hold, knowing that we do not journey this path alone. The physical therapist taught me this mantra for climbing stairs, up or down. Up with the good, down with the bad. I did not want to tell my injured appendage it was bad, so we modified it. Spirit rise up, healing flow down. Together, spirit rise up, healing flow down. Spirit rise up, healing flow down. Spirit rise up, healing flow down. Graceful, we have grace today in that there are no announcements. The thing I could announce, I don't want to, except to say that Reverend Dr. Greg will be back on island Tuesday. So before we sing our song of peace, I'd like to bring your, So as we sing our song of peace, please remember to ask before taking somebody else's hand. Let's lift our voices for our song of peace. Hawaii aloha.